In today's Southeast series, I shall be outlining the 20 most intellectual figures from the southeastern part of Nigeria of all times. These names, most of whom are no longer alive, and a few of them still alive, performed excellently well during their times. They were intellectuals of global reckoning who thrived in science and technology, who thrived in literature, who thrived in economics, who thrived in anything they found themselves doing. I shall be mentioning the 20 of them. And at number 1 is Professor Chinua Achebe. Professor Chinua Achebe, NNOM. He won the Nigerian National Order of Merit, a coveted national award given to intellectuals. Professor Chinua Achebe was regarded or is regarded as the #1 creative writer from Africa. He wrote the evergreen and ever popular literary work, Things Fall Apart. Professor Chinua Achebe was a lecturer, and one striking thing about Professor Chinua is that he became a professor without doing master's degree and without obtaining PhD. From his first degree, bachelor's degree, he studied English. He became professor, and he was given this professorship in the USA because he performed creditably well. His work, Things Fall Apart, gave him that academic height to become a professor without doing master's and PhD. So Professor Wole Soyinka also got it, but at this point we are focusing on the intellectuals from the southeast of Nigeria. And I told you that at number 1 is Professor Chinua Achebe, and he was from Ogidi in Anambra State of Nigeria. At number 2 is Professor Eni Njoku. Professor Eni Njoku was an intellectual of global reckoning. He was the Vice Chancellor of the University of Lagos, UNILAG, from 1962 to 1965. He was also the 3rd Vice Chancellor of the University of Nigeria, UNN, Nsukka. Professor Eni Njoku was at the time a Minister of Mines and Power in Nigeria and the representative of OAU in a peace talk globally. So Professor Eni Njoku was a respected academic and an administrator. Professor Eni Njoku was from Ohafia in today's Abia State. Professor Kenneth Dike was the first Vice Chancellor of the University of Ibadan. University of Ibadan, as you may know, remains the first ever established university in Nigeria, and Professor Kenneth Dike, a historian, was the first Vice Chancellor, indigenous Vice Chancellor. So Professor Kenneth Dike was a respected academic and intellectual and a historian as well, and he was from Awka in today's Anambra State of Nigeria. Professor Chukwuemeka Ike, NNOM, which means Nigerian National Order of Merit Award, and OFR, was an intellectual. Professor Ike was a well-respected university administrator and an educationist. He was the acting vice chancellor of the University of Nigeria during the and after the Biafran War in 1967. Professor Chukwuemeka Ike was a writer, a literary giant. He held the position of Chief Executive of WAEC, West African Examination Council, and was the first Nigerian to hold the position in Ghana. At a point, Professor Chukwuemeka Ike became the traditional ruler of his community, Ndi Ikelionwu, in today's Orumba, North Local Government Area of Anambra State. Professor Chukwuemeka Ike was a respected traditional ruler. He was a respected author and literary giant in Africa. His works are numerous. His literary works are everywhere, and he majored more in poetry. Professor Chukwuemeka Ike is though late, but his legacies are out there to be emulated. His Royal Highness Professor Laz Ekwueme, at number 5, is alive. He's 90 years old, and he's the traditional ruler of Oko community, Anambra State of Nigeria. He's a professor of musicology and has composed so many music albums and has remained the #1 musicologist in Nigeria, if not in West Africa. Professor Laz Ekwueme won an award of Nigerian National Order of Merit, NNOM, and he holds 2 National Honors Award of OFR, of OON and CON. Professor Laz Ekwueme is the younger brother of one-time Vice President of Nigeria, Dr. Architect Alex Ekwueme, GCON, and he is from Oko community of Anambra State. At number 6 is Professor Chike Obi. Professor Chike Obi is a mathematician, and his legacies are out there for anyone to access. He is regarded as the topmost mathematician in Africa. He was from Onitsha, Anambra State of Nigeria. At number 7 is Chike Obi, also won NNOM award. And at number 7 is Dr. Philip Emeagwali. Dr. Philip Emeagwali from Onitsha, Anambra State, is a computer wizard. He is regarded as the topmost computer wizard in West Africa. Dr. Philip Emeagwali is an intellectual of note, and his legacies are out there for anyone to access. At number 8 is Dr. Cyprian Ekwensi. Dr. Cyprian Ekwensi was a writer of note. His legacies speak for themselves, and he was from Anambra State of Nigeria. At number 9 is Professor Ben Nwabeze. Ben Nwabeze, NNOM. He was a winner of the Nigerian National Order of Merit. He was a senior advocate of Nigeria and holds Nigerian National Honors Award of CON. Professor Ben Nwabeze, CON, SAN, Senior Advocate of Nigeria, was an intellectual of note. He was a lecturer and he was also a legal luminary. Professor Ben Nwabeze contributed a lot in putting up constitutions of some African countries. Professor Ben Nwabeze was from Ogbaru local government area of today's Anambra State, and he was well respected and revered. At number 10 is Dr. Ben Enwonwu. Ben Enwonwu, NNOM, meaning Nigerian National Order of Merit Award. He won it in his prime. Ben Enwonwu is an intellectual of high regards, and his legacies are littered over the place. He is from Onitsha, Anambra State of Nigeria. At number 11 is Dr. Pius Okigbo. Dr. Pius Okigbo, NNOM. He also won the Nigerian National Order of Merit Award as an intellectual, and he was from Anambra State of Nigeria. At number 12 is Christopher Okigbo. Christopher Okigbo was a poet of note. He died during the Biafran War when he fought on the side of Biafra. Chris Okigbo is a poet known for protesting against bad governance and colonial influence on Africa. Chris Okigbo was from Ojoto in today's Anambra State of Nigeria, and his books remain his greatest legacy. At number 13 is Professor Adiele Afibo, NNOM. He won the Nigerian National Order of Merit Award as an intellectual and a public figure of note. Professor Afibo is and was one of the revered intellectuals from Africa. Professor Afibo was from Okigwe in today's Imo State of Nigeria. Professor Charles Nnolim, NNOM, is at number 14. Professor Charles Nnolim was a lecturer of note and a writer. Professor Charles Nnolim won numerous awards, including NNOM. Professor Nnolim is from Anambra State of Nigeria. At number 15 is Professor Charles Chidume. Professor Charles Chidume, NNOM, won many awards, including the Nigerian National Order of Merit Award. Professor Chidume is an intellectual of note, and his legacies are loud and speak for him. He's from Anambra State of Nigeria. At number 16 is Professor Bat Nnaji, NNOM, OON, and CON. Professor Bat Nnaji, NNOM, CON, and OON, was Minister of Power in Nigeria and a businessman of high regards. Professor Bat Nnaji is respected for his intellectual prowess, and he is the chairman and owner of Geometric Power Plant. Professor Bat Nnaji is a respected academic and businessman and intellectual as well. He has held numerous public offices and has performed creditably, and he's respected for being an exceptional academic and intellectual. He is from Nkanu East Local Government Area of Enugu State. Professor Alexander Animalo is at number 17, and he was winner of Nigerian National Order of Merit Award. He was an intellectual and a well-respected academic. He was from Oba in Anambra State of Nigeria. Professor Animalo is regarded as the pioneer of solar energy in Nigeria as a whole. He founded solar energy in Nigeria. At number 18 is Professor Kalu Oka. Professor Kalu Oka was a poet of note, and he recently died. Professor Kalu Oka was from Abia State of Nigeria. At number 19 is Chief Mrs. Chimamanda Ngozi Adichie. Chimamanda Ngozi Adichie is one of the most popular African authors. She has written many literary works, and she has a litany of recognitions and awards globally. She is a traditional title holder in Igbo land. Chimamanda Ngozi Adichie lives in USA, and her legacies are everywhere to be accessed. Chimamanda is from Anambra State of Nigeria. And at number 20 is Dr. Chris Abani. Dr. Chris Abani is a respected writer. He lives in overseas, and his literary works are top-notch, and he's respected for his contributions towards literary creativity in Africa. Dr. Chris Abani is from Afikpo in today's Ebonyi State of Nigeria. So thank you. I am Sir Chika Nwoba. There are many other intellectuals, but I decided to come up with these 20. So let's wish them well wherever they are. May their souls rest in peace, those of them who are no longer alive. They contributed meaningfully to the building of African society when they were alive, and those who are still alive. So let's pray for the repose of their souls, because they remain figures of international reckoning. Thank you so much.